I have an exciting video for you today. I have in front of me the fellow Aiden and the Xbloom Studio. I've used both of these automatic pour over machines for quite a while. I was one of the first people to get my hands on the Aiden and use it in the home, and I've had the Xbloom for a few months as well. I've tested both of these quite a bit, and I'm excited to give you my results. And I'm going to be telling you everything I think you should know about these, the good things, the bad things, the flaws, and I'm going to be telling you which one I think you should spend your money to, and I'm also going to brew coffee on both of them. So I want to start off by getting the coffee going and getting the coffee brewing. I'm going to be using the same setting on the grinder that's built into the Xbloom here. So I'm going to simply just add my beans up top here and go ahead and click that play button. Once that grind is done, it will automatically stop. I'm going to lift up the lid on the Aiden, and I already have this set to exactly what I want. So this is going to be a 10-ounce cup of coffee. I'm actually going to remove the included carafe because I think it's big, and honestly, I don't like it a ton. More on that later. But I'm going to go ahead and slap just a normal carafe on here. You can brew directly into mugs as long as it fits right here. It's got a classic number 2 style dripper and kind of a cone shaped thing. I'm going to get more into the details here. I'm going to pour my coffee from the Xbloom into there and discard that. So on this, there's a dial that's similar to any of the fellow products that you may get used to, and you simply set up whatever type of roast that it is, or any of the recipes, which they recently just added a couple recipes on here from the update for if you got some of the new packages here. So this has a lot of updates, which we'll get into more in just a moment. But I'm going to select light roast here. I'm going to select 10 ounces of coffee. It's going to tell me I need to insert the basket, which I guess I didn't fully do. And once that's in there, you can see 17.6 gram, which I already weighed out and ground already. You're going to put the dial on the 1 cup, which is green, instead of the 3, which is for a bigger brew basket here, and you're going to simply select start. Now moving on to the Xbloom, there are 2 different ways to brew, and it gives you the step-by-step instructions of what it's doing as well as the time. So the Xbloom comes with 2 different things. It comes with this little portafilter here, and it also comes with these pods. These pods allow you to basically just scan a card, more on this later, and dump it in and brew that way. But I've already selected a recipe, so I'm going to go ahead and scan the recipe, which is their standard 3 pour bloom here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply take my pre-weighed coffee here, and before I click start, I'm going to add this right here, which this is a brewer that comes with it. You're going to simply select it right here, push it in, click play, and it will automatically move over and start grinding for you. And I'm going to take a carafe. It doesn't fit directly underneath of it, so you actually need to put the carafe in prior to if you want it to fit in there, because it will not allow you to move that brewer without it. Okay, now that both of these are done, I want to highlight some of the features on it. I didn't want to show the whole brewing method of them, mainly because it was very loud and it was going straight in the mic, so hopefully this will help with the remainder of the audio. But the fellow Aiden says ready right there, and the Xbloom Studio has a little coffee cup right here. So I want to talk about the features of both of these and how they are unique from one another. So I want to start off with the fellow Aiden coming in at $365. This machine feels kind of like the fellow Opus, so it's pretty plasticky. It has the ability to do a batch brew style and large cups of coffee, so you can brew up to 50 ounces at a time. It is very, very foolproof when it comes to making coffee. You select more of the ounces and it gives you the correct dosage that you need in terms of coffee. You can scroll through this menu here. It's pretty easy to follow, and you can create your own profile and edit your own profile. So you can select new, and you can select the temperature, the brew ratio you want to be, whether it's a cold brew setting, and some advanced features. So you can set the bloom how many pulses it's going to do. So in a sense, how many pours you're going to do, and you can adjust the temperature on all of this. This heats up the water instantly and makes it very, very easy to do and very, very quick to do. Very intuitive screen, very, very simple. This has not very much else to it. It allows you to brew into a carafe that comes with it, or you can fit, I believe, the 12 ounce, maybe the 16 ounce of the fellow Carter mugs. This allows you to adjust the settings on here, and if you do anything wrong, so if you want to do a batch brew size, if you don't have the right basket in there, if you don't have the right settings in there, it will not allow you to do it. My biggest con with this is this all kind of drips down after you are finished brewing with it, which makes it kind of a mess and kind of a little bit of a pain. The nice thing about it is this right here, the basket, has a stopper in it, so it will no longer drip when you take it to the trash can, so you don't have to worry about putting something underneath of it. It works super well. It has built-in cable storage. The water tank is large in here on the side that you pull up with just a handle. If you're used to Fellow products, this is going to be no different, and it's not going to be difficult to use for you. Fellow does have an app which allows future customability to it and a little bit more ease of use on that app. That app is not fully released and fully updated. If you want to hear more on that, let me know in the comments below and I can make another review of the Aiden once that comes in there. When you make coffee out of this thing, this is absolutely, absolutely phenomenal. Now I want to go over to the Xbloom. The Xbloom is $500, which is $134 more than the fellow Aiden. The Xbloom is very, very unique in what it comes with. It allows you to use this little hook here, and it allows you to use pre-potted coffee. So this is like fancy pods. You pull this up here, you scan this card on the top somewhere, and it'll tell you to add water if you need to add water. You'll simply lift this up, pour that in there, and put this directly on the little holder, and it has a filter in here, and it will automatically move and grind and brew for you, and you just throw it away when you're done. But it also gives you the ability to use this right here and brew your own coffee. You can use any of this stuff completely independently. So it's got 3 features on here. It's got the built-in grinder, which can do all the way up to cold brew, very coarse, and all the way down to espresso setting. It even allows you to adjust the RPM from 60 to 120, so it's a fairly slow grinder, but it's a conical burr. It has virtually no static on here. Comes with this little dosing cup to allow you to grind directly into this if you wanted to grind for another method. So an example for that is if you had like a Pico Presso or a Flare, you could grind coffee for this with it. It also has a built-in scale right here. It's on a little metal plate on the bottom, and this is a little plastic drip tray, whatever it is, and you can use that independently. The scale is very precise and accurate. I would consider it similar to that of an Akai Pearl, which is a $150 scale. I'd put the grinder at about $200, give or take, maybe even a little bit more than that. It compares super well with something like the Baratza Encore. It will, like I said, you can do anything independently. You can also select the water here, and you can select whatever temperature you want all the way up to 203 degrees or boiling point, and anywhere down below that. I'm not sure exactly how low it goes. Pretty low, I'm assuming. All the way down to like 100 or something degrees. 104 degrees is as low as you can get it. And the nice thing about that is you can use this as a hot water tap. So that means you can use your other brewers with this. You can use an AeroPress. You could use a Pico Presso and just fill it up. That's what I've done at work before, and it has worked very well. All this stuff independently is good. It allows you to do 3 different types of pours with it. You can do a straight pour, you can do a circle pour, or you can do a diagonal, or like you can do a straight pour, circle pour, or a kind of spiral style pour, and you can select any of those that you want and do it however you want. You can adjust the radius of the pour on the app too as well, so you can make the circle pour go out further or the spiral pour go out further or more narrow depending on the type of brewer that you want. Works super well, and eventually they'll even have these some different variable pour overs that you can use for attachments on this. The water tank is absurdly small. You go through it very quickly, but they did put an internal pump in here and allows you to put in a 5-gallon bucket or whatever kind of water reservoir and have it pump and draw water from that, so you don't have to fill up as much. It comes with third wave water packets, which is a nice plus, which is a way to mineralize your water. The main drawback on this is originally this pour over dripper did not sit flush. It sat more like kind of an angle. So what I did was I put a couple layers, I think 2 or 3 layers of electrical tape right here on the bottom that allowed it to still make it easy to get in and out, but allowed it to sit a little bit more flush. The app works super well. However, I do find that you either need to use this standard recipe card and know that it is 15 grams that you need to use, or you need to buy some more recipes or more coffees from their website, which are kind of expensive. So like this Equator coffees is 15 grams. So if it came with this card to brew that recipe, so what I would recommend doing is maybe get a couple cards in different recipes and write like 15 grams and how much coffee you should dose in it, and then you can just scan it and you don't have to use the app. If you don't use the app, there is less and less that you can do with it. The app does work pretty well, and it allows you to do whatever kind of customized method that you want. And one of the things that I love about this is this allows you to go to the extreme, and I even can do a flash brew setting. With the fellow Aiden, I cannot do something like a flash brew because I cannot make the ratio what I would like it to. It goes down to a 1:9, and I think I need like a 1:6 for my flash brew recipe. So I hope that's something that they release more in the near future. And one of the things that's nice about this is you can kind of set up your recipes based off of the grams of coffee. So if I know I want 20 grams of coffee, because that's how I brew my coffee, and it's a 1:16 ratio, so 320 grams, I can set up a recipe exactly like I would do a pour over, and it's very, very easy to do, and it makes a lot of sense on this. However, there is limitations on the amount of coffee that you can fit in this little thing, so you would have to use your own pour over method. One of the nice things about it is when it does your recipe, it's not using the scale to weigh it out. So if you do have like a pour over dripper and it's like sitting on the carafe like this or something like that, and you put it like that, it's going to register how much water it's pouring out at the right time. It also does agitation too, so it will shake the coffee grounds too if that is something that you are interested in, and it's got a lot of flexibility on it there. Let's have into it. I'm going to do a little taste test here, and then we're going to get into my opinions on exactly what I think is best. There we have it. We have 2 wonderful cups of coffee, and before I drink those, and before I give you my opinion, we're going to get into some fun little ads and housekeeping rules, worse per se. If you've made it this far in the video, one of the nice things that you could do to support me is simply like and subscribe. It's completely free to you, and it helps you see great more content. I have some really cool things coming in the near future. I have some machines that I already have on the docket list. I have a really nice grinder. I have a lot of things that you're not going to want to miss out, and the only way you can see that is if you like and subscribe. Helps me out a lot. But I also want to do a quick shout out to Sodality Coffee. Sodality Coffee is a new coffee roaster in my city, Omaha Metro. Omaha, Nebraska is where I'm from. And they have recently started this roastery. They have a roaster that has well over 10 years of experience of roasting coffee. And there are 2 guys that are running this operation, which allows them to do a lot more with coffee than a lot of other companies. They get fully control. They're just a roastery. They don't have a shop. So they're really handpicking their coffees in a very incredible way. So what I would love for you guys to do is go into the link in the description below and buy their coffee. Everybody needs coffee when you're brewing coffee at home. This is a great coffee. A lot of variety there. I've had 5 bags, I think, from them now. Everything has been phenomenal. Even their dark roast, which I'm not a super big fan of dark roast, has been phenomenal, but they have really, really good coffee. No money is going back to me. I'm not getting paid to say this. They're not even knowing that I'm saying this, but buy some coffee from them. Let's blow up their little small roastery in the middle of Omaha, and let's put some coffee orders all around the US and beyond for them, and show some support to them. Again, like and subscribe. If you're looking at buying one of these things, you can use the links below. I'll make some commission at no extra charge to you. I did pay full price for this from Fellow. I was one of the first people to get that. There's a long story. You can watch my full review on the Fellow one. Xbloom did send this to me for free. So I'm going to take a good sample of the Fellow one. Well balanced, very bright. A lot of floral type notes here. I should have brought water. Again, good cup. I'm really actually kind of curious right now to really kind of taste these as they digress and cool. Both of these are absolute phenomenal cups of coffee, better than what most of my pour overs are, and better than what most people's pour overs will be at home. They really did phenomenal at both of these. I've used them extensively. So now, which one would I recommend? And there's two ways you can go about this. There's the price, there's the features, and there's the taste quality. And I guess there's even a fourth way. What do you already have and what's your experience? If you have no other coffee equipment at home, it makes a lot of sense for me to go to the Xbloom because it is $500 and it comes with a very nice scale, a very nice grinder, and the ability to brew a very nice pour over automatically. It is a very quirky per se. You have to get used to it. It took me a while to figure out what each of these dials meant, how to use them, how to navigate through the menu. The app is a little clunky in my opinion and a little difficult. I wish it was just a little bit more user-friendly style. However, it does allow you to brew coffee. I wish it comes with this little 3-pour recipe card, which makes it easy to brew on your own. I wish it allowed you to customize a card. So in other words, I could select a card, put 3 recipes on it that I know. Say one's like a 20-gram cup, another one's a 15-gram cup, and another one's a flash brew method. And I could just simply select it on top here, use one of these to dial recipe 1, 2, or 3, and it would know and then brew according to that. So I didn't have to use the app in every setting. However, this is a very, very solid machine. It's very narrow, which doesn't take as much space on your countertops. I know countertop space is a huge issue. In my house, we don't want to fill up a lot of it. So because of how compacted this is and because everything is there, it makes it really nice. It's also really nice to have hot water on demand. So if you want to make tea, if you want to do a AeroPress, if you want to do something like a Pico Presso, you have hot water basically on demand. It instantly heats it up through something that's on the inside of the machine, and it does a very, very good job of that. So it seems like very versatile to me. I feel like with this, I don't need a coffee kettle anywhere in access because I feel like I can do most things that I would need a coffee kettle for with this. If you have something like an espresso machine, it's nice because it does have this built-in grinder for you, so that means you don't have to make adjustments to your espresso grinder if it's something that can do both espresso and pour over. It also is nice to have the hot water tap for something like an Americano if your espresso machine does not have a hot water tap. So this thing pairs really well with an espresso machine, and I have a modded Breville dual boiler with no hot water tap at work because I modded it, and this works phenomenally well as a aid to my espresso machine to do things like an Americano. Moving on to the fellow Aiden, one of the huge things that this has over the Xbloom is the fact that it can do a batch brew. That being said, it makes doing a single serve less enjoyable, in my opinion. My reason for that is this thing. This thing is huge and it works super well. It's 50 ounces. It fits in there great. Here's how it looks. It looks nice. It looks like a fellow product. You take this out, I think it looks kind of dumb because there's this big empty gap here. You take out the carafe and all that stuff on the Xbloom, it looks better in my opinion. But that is 100% my opinion, and it is what it is on there. But I don't like the way this looks for a single cup thing. I don't like the mess that it creates because of all the water in here. You might be feeling like I'm really knocking on this fellow. It is a great brewer. I'm not steering you away from this. These are just my thoughts. So this one's super user-friendly, super easy to use. The Xbloom is a little bit more finicky and takes some time to get used to. Both brew a great feature. The question is, do you want to have a big batch brew of 50 ounces every once in a while, brew for a couple people? Or do you just want to run a single brewer a couple times? Or are you somebody who drinks a big cup of coffee that's like 20 ounces every single morning? You're going to want to have the fellow because the Xbloom just does not do the large batches easy. Now, here's the huge kicker that I don't know the answer to and why this is such a difficult comparison is Fellow has a huge backing. A lot of people own their kettles, a lot of people own their grinders, their cups. This is one of their cups right here. Their pourers. The Fellow has just done a good job. They destroyed the market in very expensive kettles that cost $200 that are phenomenal. I have two of them. Their Fellow Ode is great. They've just done a very good all-around job, and this fits in super well. So if you have a lot of their gear, their Fellow Tally, if you have a lot of their gear, I would go straight toward the Fellow Aiden because it does a phenomenal job. But like I said, you will probably still want a kettle with this. I still use my kettle and I have it kind of hidden because this is my brewer sitting at home and the Xbloom is at work. The real question that I have though is how good is the app going to be? If it functions well, if it's super user friendly, and because Fellow has such a following, the ability to share recipes with one another is going to be far better than the Xbloom ever will be. If they can create a good community where you can just chat or something even on that Fellow app and share recipes from other people that you don't even know, I think that would be really good. If it's something that you have to share with your friends that also have an Aiden, it could be a little bit harder. But what I would love is I would love to be able to create a recipe on the Fellow Aiden, which you can do. And if I could create a specific recipe for this dark blend of coffee from Sodality, and I could upload that profile onto this app and I could share that with everybody, and anybody who went to go buy this Sodality coffee could do it and brew exactly how I meant to taste it. If this would allow roasters to upload their coffees onto the Fellow Aiden for you to download, for you to search like whatever roaster, whether it's Black and Right or Verve, and you could just type in whatever roaster and look at their coffees, select their coffees, and then you can brew that recipe directly to it. I think that's huge. See, the interesting thing is both Xbloom and both Fellow can do that with their products. Xbloom has already been doing it, but it's been a select group with the pods. If you could go beyond the pod and do that, I think it'd be really great. I would love to see more in the coffee community of people sharing the recipes of their coffee with one another and it be easily accessible, where people can really appreciate the nuances from all these roasters, appreciate the coffee more than the gear. I think one of the things with owning it or having a YouTube channel and reviewing a coffee equipment is it gets me really caught up in the best brewers, the best devices, which is a great thing, and I'm thankful for it. But it often helps me. It often makes me overshadow the importance of the bean, importance of the roaster, importance of the farmer. So if we can use the equipment to bring us back to the roots of coffee, I think that could be a really interesting shift in the coffee industry. To recap everything, I want to give you this. The best cup of coffee from these things, because I know everybody wants it. Again, like and subscribe, maybe pick up some Sodality coffee. All that stuff is in the description below. I would give it to the Fellow Aiden. I think it's barely better than the Xbloom. Not by much, but it just seems like there's... As the coffee cools down, the Fellow Aiden is just... The nuances are just more present than what they are in the Xbloom. I would choose the Fellow Aiden if you have a lot of Fellow products, if you already have a good grinder, if you don't need a kettle for anything else, and you already have a nice scale. Fellow Aiden is where it's at because it allows you to do that batch brew and